What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be talking about the Pac-12 expansion and why certain teams, certain people cannot join this conference for Pac-12. And I've watched a lot of videos, shorts, memes on Twitter of different potential maps, and I've added a majority of the teams that are in discussion, different teams around the United States, as well as FBS schools, and potentially any other Mountain West components. So we have a big long list of different teams that we're going to put in, and we're going to talk about why they will not be involved. I do have another video that talks a lot about my future predictions. That's going to be up there in the corner if you want to go check that out. But right now we have the current Pac-12 expansion teams, and that's just going to lead us right into the next narrative where the Mountain West here, that's just, there's no more teams coming from there. This is gone. No more teams are coming from the Mountain West. If they wanted more teams to come from the Mountain West, they would have invited more teams from the Mountain West. But adding more, just making Mountain West 2.0 is not a viable option for this conference if they ever want to see Power 5 status again. Adding FBS schools in this state of a conference is also not important. So the Jackrabbits, gone. They're not coming over. They're just not. They have to be already FBS schools. They have to be already established programs. But there's been a lot of talk about Stanford Cal. We're going to start with the Stanford Cal, to the people who left the ACC. Reading the line, there's not a whole lot about their contract and what they exactly signed in accordance to join the ACC. Some say 2 years. Some say that they're locked in until 36. But let's just, for sake of argument, say that they're locked in for 2 years. They can come over with the Pac-12, with the Pac-12 expansion teams, and they just come right in here. I don't think that will happen. I think Cal and Stanford will not join a group like this. They're too prestigious in education. They're too prestigious in athletics, like Stanford, Olympic talent. Cal has some Olympic talent. I don't think they're going to want to join a Fresno, a Boise, Colorado State, especially in this state. Yes, travel is brutal. Yes, travel is brutal for the football team and all the other sports. But I think they want to keep their education as well as their athletic department in elite status in Power 5 conference. They want to keep that hold. If they rejoin the Pac-12, yes, they're Power 5 teams, but they're not like the best Power 5 teams. So essentially, they'll just be demoted to a Group of 5, Group of 6 team. And they don't want that. And I don't think that Oregon State and Washington State want them back either, because they just kind of let them high and dry. I'm not really sure what happened in the backdoor conversations, but there could have been potential for them just to stay as a 4 and really build the program out. But they left. I don't think Oregon State and Washington State is going to want them back. So we're just going to take them right out of contention. We're not even going to discuss them anymore, because they're not coming back to the Pac-12. No matter how many people think they are, how many people believe they will come back, it's just not going to happen. Next, we're going to start with some of the more West Coast teams and the reason on why I don't think they're going to come back. Let's start with UNLV here. UNLV is another program. They're pretty good. They were good last year. A good start to the season this year, but they're not going to join. And it's not because they don't want to join, it's because they're not going to invite UNLV. As I said in my previous video that talked a lot about the Pac-12, if they want to survive and they want it to be an elite conference, they need to go from coast to coast. There's only one Power 4 conference that isn't coast to coast, and that's the SEC. And SEC currently has 9 ranked teams, so they don't need to go coast to coast, but Big 10's coast to coast, Big 12's coast to coast. ACC is coast to coast to stay relevant, and UNLV is not going to get them there. They need to go past the Mississippi, or at least, past the Mississippi. They need to go into the Midwest, go into the Atlantic Coast region, get teams. And that being said, I don't think New Mexico State's going to get there. I don't think UNLV is going to get there. It's just not in the cards for them. So for that being said, I don't think UNLV is going to join. Yes, it would make sense for travel as of this state in the conference, but we're trying to get up to 12 teams, and we start adding more West Coast teams, and then we add a few East Coast. I just don't think the travel is going to be worth the travel for a lot of these smaller programs. We need to fill this other half of the country here to really solidify what we're trying to prove here. Next, we're going to talk about Wyoming. Wyoming's another one of those teams. They're just in the West Coast as well, and I think it was mostly a meme, but I had to bring it up. Wyoming is a bad team, and adding bad teams to your conference just makes a bad conference. And we don't want we want them to be Power 5 again. We want them to get in that power struggle, have a guaranteed spot to the playoffs. So that being said, they're going to be gone too, just eliminated immediately. So now we have these good programs up here. We could add more. I guess we could add more other like group of 5 teams, but we don't want to dilute the pool, and we don't make this video 30 hours long. And adding other teams from other conferences just won't happen. Like Big 12, Big 10, SEC schools, they're not leaving. ACC, of course, they're definitely not leaving. They're not going to leave those programs because they have good media rights, and good media rights is essentially how you make a good conference. And no ESPN, Fox, even Apple or Prime, they're not going to want to invest in only a West Coast teams, so they need to go to the East Coast. If they want TV deals, they need to go to the East Coast. And some of the best markets for that is Florida, Texas, this region right here in the Northeast, this region right here in the Midwest, and Atlanta. These are really good spots for TV markets and good, essentially good programs. So with that being said, let's start adding teams that will fit. Let's start adding teams that will fit that mold. We add Miami, Ohio. They were a good program until this year when they started losing games. Got a lot of hype within their conference, and I think that they could be a good addition to the league. We add Tulane. They're not quite in that Texas region, but they're close enough. They're really close to LSU. They have a good TV market down there in New Orleans, and then that can mold into the South here region. And I think Tulane's a good choice. But the problem with Tulane is that Tulane, I don't think, is going to want to leave their conference right now. I think they want to get invited to a bigger conference like the Big Ten, the SEC, because the Big Ten doesn't really have a whole lot of Southern teams. So I think that Tulane would want to get into a program like that, or the SEC, even maybe the ACC, but not right now because the ACC's media rights is pretty bad. Maybe the Big 12, but I don't think they're going to join the Pac-12, and that's why I'm deleting them right here. I don't think Tulane's going to join, just for the reason of there's no point. Why would they join a program that has worse media rights than them, and there's probably more travel involved? So we have the Miami Redhawks. Then let's move on to another market, South Florida. There are other Division I programs in Florida, but I think South Florida is probably the best of them all. They can compete with Alabama and all that stuff, and I think that would be a good addition. And they're on the East Coast. They're in the Florida TV market, and that looks very desirable for a big TV deals. Another good market is like Illinois. Illinois is a good TV market brand. Having Northern Illinois is ranked right now. There's a lot of hype around them beating Notre Dame. They play a lot of good talent in their off-conference games. So they already have good rapport with a lot of those programs in the Big Ten, a lot of good rapport around the country. So they could be a good addition, because if they can win some of those ranked games, it really brings power to this conference already. Another good addition would be UTSA. Yes, they just got dominated by Texas, but they have a good TV market. They're still somewhat on the West Coast, but also close enough to the East Coast where we can make close enough to the East and West where we can have a line that goes straight down the middle, where we have East Coast and West Coast sides where we have two different divisions, and then the East plays a lot of games and they kind of cross over a little bit, but they're not going to be like Stanford and Cal where they have to travel 4 or 5 games a year, maybe 6, all the way to the other side of the country. Another good addition would be Liberty. Another good TV market right there in the East Coast, right up there by New York and Pennsylvania area. And if you add Liberty, you might as well add JMU, both in Virginia, both good programs. I know JMU is still on probation, but by the time that these would go in effect, I don't think they'd be on probation anymore. And Liberty has a great start this season right now. And look, we already at six schools, and then we still have Memphis. We still have Toledo. Memphis is one of the favorites right now in the group of 5 to make it to the playoffs. Toledo has good seasons. They're also over here in this region. And we have Memphis down here in Tennessee, right here in that southern belt here. And 6 of these schools would be beneficial to the overall prowess of the program. Would I say this is an elite program? No, I would not say this is an elite program. But I think that there's a lot of room to grow with this, and it allows less travel for a lot of these programs. Can't be beggars here, because most of the good teams are already locked in to their conference, and the TV right deal is just too good to pass up. So you need these type of teams, these good teams, and you need to scatter them across the East Coast and Midwest to really bring in those markets so other networks can go, yeah, we want you, we want to play you on national TV or in those region locked areas because people will actually watch you. But that's going to be it for this video. Please like and subscribe. Peace.